My books are open. You can book an astrological consultation with me for April through June. A lot of the primo time slots have already been snagged up because I opened my books earlier this month. If you're on my mailing list, then you already know all this. If you're on my mailing list, you also know that I launched my astrological apprenticeship program. It's my way of taking on students and teaching astrology. If you're interested in having me as a teacher, go check out the details of the program on my website. We've got an ambitious week ahead of us, so let's jump into this week's forecast. We're starting the week off how we ended it. That lovely aspect that started to build at the end of last week between Venus and Taurus and Jupiter and Cancer, that's hitting a high point on Monday. That aspect will take full effect, so whatever you started working on last week in the realms of Taurus and Cancer, you can expect it to get a little easier, to come to fruition in different ways, or just feel nicer all around. Cancer and Taurus are my 8th house and 10th house, and last week I started gathering so many documents to get us prepared to buy a house later this year, and I mean so many documents. I was getting really frustrated because all the Aries energy afoot, and I had to remind myself many, many times that it's not a race. There's no deadline. Relax into the process. It'll be okay. But that conjunction between Mars and Neptune and Aries was really testing me. And it still is a little because that conjunction hits its peak on Monday as well. The opposing energies of the benefics being so happy and saying, go slow, there's no rush, you'll get there, we're behind you, versus all the Aries energy and Mars being angry and confused, it was pretty palpable last week. We're still working through it a little bit this week, but after Monday, Mars will start putting distance between itself and Neptune, and that hasty, confused feeling is going to die down just a little bit. I was just so hyper fixated on getting everything done all at once for no reason. Once I allowed myself to walk away and slow down, it did get a little easier. So I hope you were able to do the same last week with whatever you were feeling the need to go all in on and have a bunch of haste with. And also this week, because again, the energy is still here. We're still feeling rushed for no reason, like the world is going to end if we don't get to do the thing we feel we need to do. Force yourself to walk away from it and approach it in a slower, more stable fashion. Because while we have that goodness coming from the benefics, that's also going to begin waning this week as well. And you know what's not waning this week? Aries energy. Mars might be stepping away from Neptune, and that's huge. Don't get me wrong, that's really big, that's important, but there is still an abundance of Aries energy afoot. On Tuesday, April 14th, Mercury ingresses into Aries and joins pretty much everyone else. This is nice because Mercury is leaving its place of detriment, but it's also adding to the mess going on in Aries right now. And just like Mars, Mercury is going to have to pass by Neptune, which is going to cause more mental haste, more confusion. Mercury's conjunction with Neptune peaks on Thursday, and it'll be out the door by the weekend. This one's going to be quicker than Mars's conjunction, but quicker doesn't always mean better right now because, again, we're already moving so fast and have so much intensity and haste inside our bodies. From Thursday to Saturday, we need to be super mindful of our words, how we communicate, and misunderstandings or jumping to conclusions within the realm of Aries. Because not only will Mercury be conjunct Neptune, but the Sun will be conjunct Chiron on the same exact day. And we know that the Sun and Chiron are also in Aries, making this area of our lives hot to the touch and ready to boil over at any moment. The Sun's conjunction with Chiron is an opportunity to heal on a more holistic, egoic level. This is bringing all the wounds and all the wisdom to the forefront of consciousness and pushing their integration. I say this every time something has come up with Chiron for like the last year now, but we know the wound. We understand the assignment. We've been working with it for years, and it's something that we've gotten good at recognizing, healing, and integrating. As the Sun passes over Chiron, it should be a nice illumination of our progress and also how we want to continue moving forward. We're seeing ourselves in the wound, but as the person we are today, not the person that the wound was inflicted upon. And that perspective is going to make a big difference in feeling like we're on the road to full integration and healing. The problem is that all this other more malefic Aries energy is swirling around. Try not to let the incoming energy from Mercury and Neptune's conjunction muddy your mind. These energies peak on the same day, so if you happen to have anxiety, confusion, or even just poor concentration, know that it's going to pass. Don't make decisions based on fears, especially fears from the past, ones that don't have any bearing on you anymore or the person you are today. I'm actually starting to see this happen for myself already. The house buying process is drudging up a lot of old feelings about a life I once lived, and Carrie is doing a really good job at reminding me that I'm not there anymore, and we're building this life together and in a vastly different way that I did in the past. So when your anxiety spikes or you have some kind of intensity come up within the realm of Aries this week, try to ground it. The wound is different because you're different. Like I said, we aren't the same people we were when this wound was first inflicted or revealed to us. So we don't have to live in that state of mind anymore, and we honestly shouldn't operate from that place anymore. Not to pile on the Aries energy, but there's a new moon in Aries happening at the end of the week. I really like the timing of this new moon because it's hitting us right after all of that confusion and the stirring of our Chironic wounds in Aries. There will be 7 placements in Aries at the time of the new moon, and the new moon will be sitting right next to, you guessed it, Chiron. This is a chance not only to create new intentions within the realm of Aries, but also a chance to reframe our relationship to wounds, to the past, and to make vows to move forward in a more confident and autonomous manner. My lunar horoscopes have all the details of the new moon and what each of us needs to specifically be harnessing and manifesting. But in general, this lunar event is about reclaiming a piece of ourselves that we lost along the way throughout our journey with Chiron. We're making a vow or we're taking an oath to approach the path in a way that feels empowering rather than living in fear or living in the past or living in fear of the past. I'm really big on Aries energy having a goal. I have told all my clients that have gotten a Saturn return reading for Aries recently, or people that just have a lot of Aries energy in general, I tell them all that 1, haste is the enemy, especially for Saturn and Aries, and 2, that they need to have a clearly defined goal. All Aries energy can benefit from having clearly defined goals. Whether it's natal or just a passing transit, when Aries is activated, it needs something to point all that energy at. Think about even just the symbol for Aries. It's the ram. What does a ram do? It puts its head down and it charges full speed ahead at its target. And that's what we need to do with all this Aries energy. We need to give it a target. With so many Aries transits happening, we really need that goal. We need a place to aim all the frenetic energy happening within and without. This is especially true if you have any natal Aries placements that these transits are hitting on. The new moon is going to be an invitation to create that goal that we all desperately need. So if you do any sort of new moon meditations or journaling, or even if you can just take 30 seconds to set a simple intention, make the focus be about finding the new goal. And that new goal should incorporate the wounds and wisdom of Chiron that you've been working through for the last couple of years. And I say couple of years, but it's been since 2019. The sun and moon being conjunct Chiron during the lunar event is the big ticket item, but the realm of Aries and its energy in general is going to be a massive part of what we're forming the goal around. The day after the new moon, there's a conjunction between Mars and Saturn. Mars is the ruler of that new moon, so what it has going on is kind of important. The goal we set for ourselves needs to be something long-term. It has to have some longevity to it or even a more serious tone. It shouldn't be something that's overly easily attainable. I think last week or the week before, I said to set smaller goals so that you could build momentum. And that's good. I hope you did that. But then this week is about the bigger goal. Hopefully you have some momentum so you can approach forming the bigger goal. And this is the one that will take longer to achieve, but also have a bigger impact, a bigger payout. The malefic conjunction between Mars and Saturn is presenting us with stress and obstacles within the realm of Aries. No surprise there, that's what malefics do. These obstacles will present themselves both in daily life and the formation of the goal that we're setting for ourselves. There's a battle between haste, Mars, and limitation, Saturn. Wanting to do too much, move too fast, take on too much responsibility, but also being hyper-independent, we might see a lot of that. We'll have a lot of ambition flowing through us this week, especially towards the end of the week, but we can't let that ambition get away from us. We need to harness it and ride the wave, but not so much that we commit ourselves to something that we can't deliver on. We also need to realize that our ambitions won't happen overnight and that being frustrated or feeling stuck is very much part of the process right now. By the end of the week, we'll be grinding our gears and the goodness between Venus and Jupiter will have run its course. We're still going to get goodness from the realms of Cancer and Taurus because the benefics are in their places of domicile and exaltation, but without the aspect between them, it's going to pale in comparison to all the energy Aries afoot right now. Mercury is making a sextile with Pluto at the end of the week that can act as a little burst of inspiration, a little power surge, or maybe just an area of life that gives us a different perspective. But honestly, with 7 placements in Aries, the desire, the affinity, if you will, for action, haste, ambition, and needing an outlet for that energy is absolutely the main focus. Approach this week with a determined yet steady attitude. There will be points in time where the energy stalls out and we need to wait, we need to be patient. There will be points when it's full speed ahead and we can make leaps and bounds with our progress. Just remember, keep your eye on the prize and find yourself a worthy long-term goal. Thank you for tuning into this week's forecast. If you want a more detailed look at what this week's astro weather holds for you personally, go to my website, moonmattersastrology.com, and sign up to receive my zine. You can also find me on Patreon by searching for Moon Matters. The best way to keep up to date with my work or to book a reading with me is to sign up for my mailing list on my website. I'll meet you back here next week. But until next time, later days.